You're right in the center of fun and enchantment at Disneyland Hotel. Such fun that you'll wonder where each day and night went at Disneyland Hotel.
Welcome to the Disneyland Hotel here in Anaheim. For those of you who'll be staying here at the Disneyland Hotel, the bellman is here with his electric luggage cart to take you and your bags directly to the main registration desk.
Hello and welcome to Off Harbor in Maine. I'm Joel Covey, and on each episode I'm joined by my close friends to reminisce over Disney park history and analyze current theme park happenings, all with a drink in hand. I'm inviting you to join us. Today, I'm joined by Beth.
Hello, everyone.
And Derek.
Hey, guys.
And unfortunately, no Matt this week. I know there's a few people that just love Matt. Hear about what grinds his gears on the next episode. But today,
he's having fun. He's in Vegas.
That jerk.
Nobody be too sad.
Yeah.
He deserves a day off.
He's on vacation, so. But today, on episode 28, with Steakhouse 71 recently opening at Contemporary Resort in Walt Disney World, we thought we would do a little history of the now former Steakhouse 55 at the Disneyland Hotel, which was once known as Granville Steakhouse. Once you open the book on the Disneyland Hotel history, however, you just have to mention some other things. So we'll look at the former bars and some restaurants from the hotel as well, plus a few other little random items that we bring up. But before we get into it, let's go around our virtual Tropical and I just to hear what everyone is drinking today. Beth, what do you have?
Okay, so today I have the Golden Road Christmas cart because, as you know, once November 1st hits, I'm officially in full Christmas mode. So this is a wheat ale with cherries and spices. I actually feel like Matt had this last Christmas season on air.
I think so.
And he said it was okay, but I actually loved it. I'm opening it right now.
Yes.
It's almost like beer. If beer were like mulled wine, like Luvine, it's like those flavors in a beer. And it's so good, and it's cool and refreshing, and I'm a big fan. So that's what I'm having today.
I'm so jealous. I really have to try that.
It is so good. Look, I'm gonna pour it into my glass, and it's
I love mulled wine, and I love
it's
beer.
got this pink, but it's not too
it's pretty.
sweet. Yeah, it's got the cherry color, but it's not too sweet. I know you're not a huge fan of sweet beers or anything, but I don't know, I really like it a lot. So
I would love a couple sips and then be like, okay, that's enough.
that's fine. Like that pumpkin beer.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good, yeah.
Yeah, there's a pumpkin beer over at the Hollywood Lounge in California Adventure in Hollywood Land. What do you know? Do you remember the beer?
I do not remember what it was, but it's not like a
beer.
Yeah, it's not a cider. It's an actual beer, and it's really good. I guess
very heavy.
I guess I just like fruit beers. I guess is what I'm learning about myself.
It works.
Yeah, but it still has it still tastes a lot like beer. It's not super sweet, and the pumpkin was just really good. It was really rich.
Yeah, it was exactly what you'd want on a nice fall day.
There you go.
Nice.
Derek, what do you have?
Well, so speaking of Hollywood Lounge, I did go a little heavy this weekend on my libations.
Good, I'm glad you were talking about it.
Party!
So, I had my fill, and I figured, maybe I'll just take it easy this week. So I just busted out this random bottle of sweet wet red wine.
Sweet wet wine.
Okay.
And, but what were you thinking I was going to say?
Oh, it's sweet wet. I'm like, oh, this is getting good.
Oops, yeah.
Tell us your secrets, Derek.
Red wine. It's Italia Roscata Rosa Dolce. And it's actually pretty good. I've had a glass so far, and I'm sipping on my second glass.
So you're going to have the full bottle tonight, or?
Well, hopefully it doesn't do me in like it did this weekend. I'm good so far. So
You said Roscata?
Yeah, Italia Roscata. Roscato.
So I'm gonna leave this out of the podcast, but this is it the big? It's like a black bottle. I'm trying to think of how. So you're not gonna believe me when I tell you this. I had that, tasted it in Italy for Cavett Wineries, and they were trying to figure out what are we going to call it.
Did you name it, Joel?
This is all your fault?
They asked us all to put in a suggestion for the name. I did not call it Riscotto. But it's just so weird because I was there when they were like tasting it and naming it and like, look at this is what we're doing. And it's like this sweet red wine. They're trying to build off of the success of like Lambrusco, which is really popular. And they're like, okay, we got to have our own. So they made this one. And then they sold it in all the Olive Gardens. But
Interesting.
Just so no one's gonna. I mean, it's so hard to believe, but I swear I was there and I.
Is this your grandfather was a soap maker story?
You're right. Spending too much time with Matt, Joel.
Yeah. No, this is real. Yeah. That's awesome.
How about you, Joel? What do you have?
Well, I'm a little tired, so I did something with coffee this evening.
Wise.
Lies. Oh, it has alcohol in it.
No, I said wise. It was wise.
Wise. Yes, very wise. Yes. So I have an espresso machine. So I did an espresso. That's that.
Espresso.
Yeah, espresso, Nespresso. And it has. I'm sure it's called something, but I did it with eggnog. So I steamed.
Nice.
Yeah, I steamed the eggnog instead of like creamer in the milk. I just did eggnog because I felt like something warm, nice and cozy. And I have some rye bourbon in there, or rye whiskey. I didn't have just plain bourbon. So the rye works. It's Bullet. Can't go wrong with it. And I have it in my nice little Adventurers Club mug from a few years back that was being sold at Disneyland, of all places.
Weird.
Yeah. And
that's beautiful.
Has I
love that.
Come in a stranger, leave a little stranger, with the kungaloosh on it. So and I thought it was very. Holidays are creeping up on us. It's November. I have my holiday Christmas lights outside. You can see, like they can see it in the video in our virtual meeting here.
Twinkling through the window.
Yeah. But with that, everybody, cheers.
Cheers. Episode 28.
All right.
Can we call your drink the espresso Nespresso eggnog presso?
Oh, right.
Did you just come up with that?
Yeah.
She wrote that down earlier today, I'm sure.
That is good.
And here I thought, though, you were going to be, like, lazy with your drink, but you still
went fancy.
Yeah, that was pretty fancy of you. I like that.
Excellent. Yeah.
Nice
well,
try.
I don't use with an espresso machine comes this, like, little steamer frother thing that we rarely use, right? And so it's like, okay, I need to take advantage of it, and I didn't want a cold eggnog drink, so I
frothed it up.
Yeah, that's right.
Real frothy.
Good. Well, guys, I'm excited to talk about a little Disneyland Hotel, and I think Derek let us know about this suggestion.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to give, we all wanted to give a shout out and a cheers to our good friend on Twitter, California Adventure. His handle is @CoolDisneyland. He actually suggested that we go down the path of talking about Steakhouse 55 and some of its history, which we thought was actually a really great idea. He shared that he loved the restaurant, has been a couple of times. Very sad that it, went away, as did a lot of people, and highlighted this multi-layer chocolate cake that sounds delicious. I've never actually been to Steakhouse 55, but now I'm jealous I never went. Just for this cake alone, sounds like it was a highlight for his time there.
Have you seen the photos of the cake?
I have. It looks huge.
It does look huge.
Were you able to count the layers?
I did not try to count them. That seemed too much work for me.
So shout out to California Adventure. Yes.
Thanks, California.
Thank you. I feel like we shout him out a lot on this podcast, but he comes up with some great.
Yeah, you guys interact with us. Shout out.
Yeah, and anybody else here. But we love shouting people out and talking about our discussions, on Twitter and stuff. So feel free to find us. Our handles are in the show notes, and we'll talk about it later. But we enjoy the interaction with everybody. And before we get into Disneyland Hotel and Steakhouse 55 and everything, I just wanted to add, I consider hey, we have a pretty small listener base, I would say. It's nothing huge. I'll stay humble. And, and I just wanted to say that I think I consider our listeners really our friends, because since it is a small group of people, and if you're sticking through these episodes with us and listening to us just kind of joke around and have fun, I imagine you would be someone that we would want to be friends with, because you probably understand us. So I do feel that way. And I really think the best way, even though we're not doing as many shows or as consistently as we used to, we're still coming out with them. And I just have to say, like, the best way to get the word out about the show, if you really like it, is just sharing it with your friends and letting them know about it. Obviously, the ratings and so forth that everyone talks about is fantastic, but please, it really helps us out. We love it if you share it with your friends, just in person, online, however you feel. That means a lot to us. But
yeah, and come find us on Twitter too, because we are all on there constantly talking about Disney. So if you're interested and have fun, and come find us and talk with us about it too.
Yeah. So let's talk Disneyland Hotel.
Let's do it.
All right.
The staff and management of the Disneyland Hotel bids you a warm welcome, and we wish you a fun-filled stay at the happiest place in the world, Disneyland. We hope you'll come back again and again.
Derek here does not like the Disneyland Hotel at all, which is fair. I will give him that.
Thank you.
I'm probably more on your side than any of our friends on your feelings towards Disneyland Hotel. But besides the current state of Disneyland Hotel, because even if you still love it today, it is a shell of its former self. It is
so true.
Nothing like all the stuff it used to. And that's kind of goes hand in hand with anything from that would be open from the 50s and have gone through so many iterations, such as the Disneyland Hotel has. But for those that may not be as familiar with the Disneyland Hotel, it has grown. I mean, it started off as a true motel, a 2-story, different, not wings, but small buildings. And then a tower was built. And then they added on to that tower. And then they finally built 2 more towers. So over time, it's definitely grown a big to what it is today. But throughout that time, there's been, and I'm not going to be able to name it all, and that's why we're only talking about restaurants and bars mainly for the rest of this.
There's too much.
But I mean, there was miniature golf. There was a executive course. Mm-hmm. They had the helipad. They had helicopter services from LAX. Truly, I don't know how that worked, but they did have a true helipad that was 4 services from the major airports to Disneyland Hotel. That, of course, did not last for that long of a time, but longer than one would expect. And then you had all these different restaurants and true shops that were not owned or operated by Disney. You leased out the spaces. That was really out there, kind of close to where the monorail station is today, all along kind of that, I guess, closer to Earl of Sandwich, right? I would say that's kind of the area.
The precursor to Downtown Disney, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was all contained right there at the Disneyland Hotel. And then within there, I mean, there was a freaking giant marina, right? That I still am sad is gone today. I wish they could have.
Me too.
The pool was outside of the center area of where it is now. It was on the outside of the hotel area. And that allowed for a really large courtyard space within the Disneyland Hotel. And that's where the big marina was. And that's where the names originally came from. You had the Marina Tower, the Sierra Tower, and the Bonita Tower, which were later named Magic Dreams Wonder, and then is now the Fantasy, Adventure, and Frontier Towers. But it all made sense, and it had this really cool, how would you explain, international kind of port, if you will, with different stores selling unique items.
Yeah,
and
all
then,
not just all Disney merch, with the label slapped on it, but the real unique items.
And then you had an arcade kind of out there. You had the second pool that had a freaking beach along with it. I never got to experience that in person, but as a true sandy beach, it was kind of reminiscent of what you would find in Disney World of the 90s at those resorts. And then you even have Fantasy Waters right there, right off of the marina as well. And you could take boats out there in the water. And then you had seating along the pavilion space, which is still there, like patio seating with a marina view. Like all these things come together to really create a true resort experience. And I guess kind of prefacing what we're talking about here today, I feel like a lot of this stuff has kind of gone away and kind of because there was no necessity or need for it to be that true quote unquote resort like it was before, because the Disneyland Resort in general offers so much and a lot of that already that it's not necessary to find it at your hotel.
Right.
Per se. I'm not saying I'm okay with it. By the way, I totally left out the waterfalls.
Oh, I was gonna say maybe he's just gonna save it for later.
Yeah. That's a pretty big part
waterfalls.
of it. I'm sure most of you listening are familiar with the giant waterfalls that were right out there in front of what is now the Frontier Tower. And that whole area had a bunch of waterfalls, and you could go down. They're often closed because when it was very slippery and pretty dangerous. Koi pond?
Koi pond, yeah.
Yeah. And very kind of romantic feeling, and these loud waterfalls.
Thunderous, really.
Yeah, it was
Powerful.
Yeah, it was quite unique, and of course very sad when they left. And I wish they could have saved those. I understand maybe it wasn't the safest, but what's there now is kind of a waste of space.
Yeah, a little lackluster, and yeah, what a truly unique experience. Those, like, where else would you see something quite like that? It was a really unique experience, those waterfalls.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you go into, which is now the Fantasy Tower, and is now where the main lobby is located. And when you walk in there, for those that are familiar with Disneyland Hotel, you walk in, the concierge is to your left, and then to your right is the big Disney store in there. What's it called?
Something
not
like
Fantasmic.
Fantasia.
The Fantasia shop.
Yeah.
But you go to the right, that's where the Fantasia shop is, the Disney store, if you will, for the hotel. That did not used to exist, and it was just a big open lobby. And throughout the years, it's gone from terrible, ugly red carpet to...
excuse me, that look was amazing.
Oh, I loved it.
You remember that? I don't even remember.
No, I just saw pictures of it. I don't like see it in person.
But, of course, that's gone through many different changes over the years, and then they added the store, which I understand why they wanted the store there, but you do lose out on this really cool space that was multi-layered. I think they had live bands that would play in there, too. Kind of a just, I guess, built character to the hotel. Anyway, moving on to the right, and you could either go outside and go to the right into the pavilion space, or you could go right and go kind of down a hallway of where the convention area is. And that would take you into what is still kind of called the pavilion, even though there's no pavilion restaurant. But upstairs there is where you could have a wedding. It's still a flex space, if you will, for an event center. And downstairs are multiple spaces for restaurants. Plus, even below that is meeting rooms and other spaces to be used for business. Anyway, on the right hand side, as you're going through that pavilion space, that was where the entrance sadly was, not is, to Steakhouse 55. So I want to just kind of what led us to Steakhouse 71, which is now at the Contemporary Resort.
Formerly the Wave.
Yes.
Formerly the
Arcade.
I couldn't think what it was called.
Yeah. So while it's not said that the new restaurant that has taken over the space that previously occupied the Wave is truly in relation to Steakhouse 55, all the way up until the pandemic closures, one can only assume part of the idea really stemmed from this once Disneyland Hotel staple. So prior to opening of Disneyland, Walt Disney brokered a deal with his friend Jack Rather to build this hotel. Really, they didn't have the means or the funds to create their own hotel, so he turned to his friend. Jack was a Texas oil millionaire turned film producer who already owned hotels in Las Vegas and Palm Springs and many other things. the hotel would open on October 5th, 1955, just months after Disneyland's opening. After many, many iterations, as I was pointing out, an expansion of the hotel, Jack added the Granville Steakhouse in July of 1983 and named it after his wife, who was a child star by the name of Bonita Granville.
Hence the name of the Bonita Tower. I just figured that out.
No.
I just figured that out earlier, honestly, when you were reading.
Yes.
And I was like, it clicked. I was like, oh, of course.
Yeah. So she got the hotel name and the restaurant.
He must have loved her.
Let's go to Granville's and Bonita's. And the Bonita Tower, right?
Oh, well,
Let's go to
little do
Covey's
you
at
know,
Joel's.
though, really quick, that Sierra and Marina were his former wives.
Get out of here.
I don't know.
So Bonita was once nominated for Best Supporting Actress and also played Nancy Drew. Just fun facts about her. So she was a little known. And November 12th, 1984, Jack would actually end up passing away from cancer, unfortunately, and the hotel would later be purchased in 1988 by Disney, just 4 years after Jack's death. It was kind of a funky purchase. If a lot of people go back and forth on what really happened for this purchase to happen, and like, oh, Jack didn't want to sell, the company didn't want to sell it. It sounds like his son, who would take over the Jack Rather enterprise, was willing to sell. However, there's many other things that go along with that company and the holdings. And so in order for Disney to get the namesake back, and keep in mind, Disney could not have another Disney hotel within the area, or anywhere. So they own the rights to any Disney hotel name. So in order for them to add like the Disney Grand California, they would need to have this purchase from Jack Rathers. So this came with some Long Beach land, as well as the Queen Mary. And we've talked about in the past how this kind of spawned a lot of ideas for different theme parks, or a third gate, second gate over in Long Beach, including those ideas being moved over to Tokyo Disney Sea, and a lot of things that we wish we got here. But that's.
Could you imagine if there was a third gate or a second gate over there, and
Every day.
well, and we'd have to. There's no tram service or any service
there
over
would
there.
have
We'd
been a
have to walk
monorail.
our way. No, right now we'd have to walk our way
park
from
at Disneyland.
Disneyland.
We walked to Long Beach.
Walk the route to Long Beach. Got to get there by noon to park hop.
That's hilarious.
And within that purchase, there's also parts of like the oil business and all that stuff. So what Disney did is they bought everything, and then they sold off the oil business and some other holdings, I believe. And therefore, they got the rights back to the Disneyland Hotel. So now, the first time ever, they've been the owner for the Disneyland Hotel. And they still had the Queen Mary, and I think some land possibly at Long Beach. Eventually, they would end up selling off the Queen Mary, which unfortunately is not looking so good. And the city is talking about it may be condemned. And again,
So sad.
a story for another time, but it's not looking good for the Queen Mary.
I will say, though, like, hearing this story kind of gives me a little bit of sympathy for Disney, because like it wasn't that long ago, I guess, right? I mean, in the context of it, it was still a while ago, but for them to have not had any sort of control up until the 80s, to be able to put their stamp on it, I guess I can kind of understand why it's been so difficult to kind of change things around, so to speak. And if you know me, and I've kind of gotten into trouble for this with some friends of mine, is that I prefer to just rather scrap the whole thing and start over with a proper resort hotel. But given the history and the context of this, I can kind of see why it was so hard to change. So I'll give Disney that.
No, I get it. And, up until the end there, I think things did start to slip. At least quality started to slip. People have said, I don't know firsthand, but it sounds like it wasn't doing so well toward the end there. And so when Disney did take it over, they did do a lot to
Upgrade
and make it, kind of back to the Disney quality and standards that people expect. However, over those years, though, I mean, the heydays, that was the 60s, I would say, right, for Disneyland Hotel.
Right, it lost a lot of its heart and its uniqueness. It kind of just became a Disneyland hotel. It kind of lost a lot of that uniqueness.
Yeah, absolutely. So many years later, Granville's would be renamed as Steakhouse 55 after it was determined that Disney needed to depart from the Granville's namesake. Note there are several other restaurants out there of the same name, and with it no longer being a Rather-owned hotel, it didn't really make sense for it to still be called Granville's. And with their current push for like that retro style that they're doing, kind of the Steakhouse 55 name I think kind of made sense, even though it's pretty kind of straightforward that there's, Steakhouse 1955 and the park opened. I even kind of rolled my eyes when they announced Steakhouse 55 as being the new name, but now of course I miss it, and looking back at it, I was totally fine with it being called Steakhouse 55. But so Granville's actually opened, as I mentioned, in 1983. It was July 20th, 1983. And I'm looking at this old, I think from 1985, kind of brochure for Granville's. And it's like a whole page ad, if you will. And it's as 80s as you can imagine, with some not so great looking tablecloths on there.
They are lacy.
Yeah,
they are real lacy.
There's a lot of wine glasses on the table, though.
A single rose in the center of the table.
Now that's class.
Your fancy folded napkins.
And while the interior didn't change, at least in colors, I don't think it was ever this dim for dinner. But looking at it, they really set the mood with some dim lighting for this photo. And it says on here, Granville's, a gourmet's tour of regional American cuisine. Reservations suggested, jacket required.
Oh, so they had a dress code there.
That's how you know it's good.
Definitely, the jacket was definitely not required towards the end.
Towards the end? No, not at all.
No. I thought it'd be fun just to look at an early 2000s menu. I didn't pull up anything from like the 80s. So pricing is still kind of current, if you will. But just looking at kind of what was originally offered. By the way, I'm looking at this. There's have the child's menu here, and of course there's like a big Mickey and Pluto on it. Kind of, I don't think they had a menu out there that was like this per se, probably in the 80s when it was that jacket required look, and very sophisticated. I think they kind of lost some of that sophistication. When
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. But you have things like shrimp cocktail, baked French onion soup, some shrimp scampi, and then if you go in the entrees, you have it's your typical steakhouse. You have your ribeye, lamb chops, New York steak, filet mignon, porterhouse. We're looking ranging basically everything was about $27 to $31 here, so not breaking the bank.
Unless you're getting a lobster, that's market price, buddy.
Ooh, yeah. Who gets that?
Been like what, $30 at the time?
I've never got something that's market price.
If it doesn't tell me what the price is on the menu, forget it.
Yeah, that's not happening. I do like on the menu how this is kind of ahead of its time because so many restaurants do this now when they ask you, how do you want it prepared? You say medium, and they're like, that's a pink center. Is that okay? Because so many people think medium has no pink. But so it has on there like extra rare, cool red center, rare, warm red center. And so it has like explanation of what each way of cooking it would be. So nothing too exciting there. I don't think there's anything unique or special on this menu that I'm looking at.
It looks like a pretty generic. It looks like a pretty generic restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay, but
there's the Granville salad.
What is a brochette?
Wait, where is it?
Where is it?
A shrimp and beef brochette.
I feel like in my mind I'm picturing like a crunchy piece of bread, but I don't know if that's accurate.
Like a puff pastry type of thing?
No, like bruschetta, you know? It's like,
hey, that can make sense.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's probably just on bread, right? That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm imagining. That's what I'm picturing.
Sounds fancier than it probably is.
Well, brochette is a skewer or spit on which chunks of meat or fish are barbecued, grilled, or roasted.
Oh, okay. So it's like a shish kebab.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's precursor to Ohana.
I think that restaurant was already going on. But that's okay.
It's the cursor to Ohana, not precursor.
It's the cursor. So that's Granville's. And The interior, I mean, what kind of black and white, some paintings on the wall. It wasn't that. It's not that
It
big
didn't have
inside
like
there.
Yeah, it didn't have like a really like big theme. The theme was Steakhouse. Like that was all.
Hey, if anything compares from Steakhouse 71 and Steakhouse 55, both do not have windows inside the restaurant.
Right, yes.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
And was it I mean, it's not a very big place, right? I've never eaten there, but I remember passing by and it didn't seem like a very large restaurant. Is that true?
I don't think I think it's not like, how some Disney restaurants are just like if Disney World has huge restaurants, I wouldn't say that's the same for.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair to say this is fine dining, so it's only going to be not more than a handful, but it's not like a ton of tables that were in there. I would like to say, just throwing it out there, probably about 15 to 20 tables that were inside of that place. And then, of course, they had like the larger booths and kind of a private room back there. They were known for, pretty large wine selection as well. I think they turned probably a room or something into the kind of a wine cellar. Mm-hmm. So then it turns into Steakhouse 55 on November 27th, 2006. Guests dine on prime steaks, chops, and seafood in an elegant old Hollywood atmosphere. The private oak room can be reserved for parties. So that's where I was talking about. They kind of like this extra room back there that I think probably wasn't a private room before. I don't know for sure. But yeah, as you can see, it turned into still that black and white, nice look.
Yeah, I really liked the decor inside of Steakhouse 55. I only ate there once. And now looking at the date that it opened, I think I must have eaten there pretty soon after it opened. I had like brunch there. But it had, big blown up like photographs of movie stars, big black and white. Of course, like right when you walk in, they have those gorgeous photos of Walt that are like larger than life, like where he's looking super classy and super dapper, like just like you would expect at like if he was to go eat it. I mean, like he would eat at a fancy steakhouse. He just wants his chili beans, but he was looking like he would look if he was going to a fancy steakhouse. So.
And these photos in there look like something where, like, they were all at, like, the Brown Derby or something in Hollywood. That's most likely where they were taken. And I think there's a couple that were Walt Disney were in them. And then other ones just famous movie stars that were sitting at the dinner table.
Yeah, they all look very
with their drinks.
Yeah, they all look very candid. Like they were, enjoying. I'm sure they were like posed somewhat, but they were, candid photos of them out enjoying themselves at a nice dinner.
Yeah. So let's look at a menu from 2011, June 2011. So we had some added flair, I would say, to the menu with some of these items. Like the French onion soup was a Steakhouse 55 7 onion soup with Parmesan crisp.
Yeah, you got
a little bit more than just the French
words in
onion
there.
soup.
Yeah.
And then of course
I didn't know there were
wedge.
7 onions.
It's all yellow onions, but 7 of them in 1 cup.
Got it.
7 full onions in 1 cup. It's a lot.
Then you have, of course, your wedge, iceberg lettuce, kind of salad, which wasn't really a thing, I don't think, in the 80s. Vine-ripened tomatoes and gorgonzola dressing.
Your olive tapenade. Ooh,
yeah,
delicious.
That sounds good, actually.
I do love olive tapenade.
I
Baby
love
spinach.
Pecans, the spring greens with candied pecans and raspberry vinaigrette.
Yeah,
Sounds
and the
good.
baby spinach with warm applewood smoked bacon vinaigrette. See, the difference from a 2010-ish menu and a menu from 1988 is warm applewood smoked.
All the descriptive adjectives that are used to make you food enticing instead of just
Spinach and bacon
vinaigrette. Yeah. You gotta make it fancy.
Yeah. And then you have your different, some different sizes of the meat. You have, for instance, a roasted prime rib at 12 ounce or 16 ounce, $29, $31. Looking at the pricing, it's still very similar to what it was in that early 2000s menu, still ranging from like $29 to $36. And then you have your Australian lobster tail at market price.
Of course. And look
Nice.
at this. You can add your toppings to your steak. You can get béarnaise, peppercorn demi, or blue cheese.
For
an
$4
extra
more.
$4. Yeah, just top it right on there.
I always have loved it for fine dining restaurants. Usually it's fine dining that does this, where they don't put the dollar sign next to it. It's just the number. It's just a 4.
Because they're
29.
like, 4 blue cheeses.
Yeah. And then you have the prefix menu that was also available for $35. You could get a Caesar salad with olive tapenade, crouton, petite New York steak with garlic and herb smashed potatoes, and a seasonal tart a la mode. Nothing too fancy there, but $35 I think is pretty reasonable considering what prices are like today.
Why are potatoes, if they're fancy, are smashed? But if it's like in a diner, you get mashed potatoes. But if you go to a fancy restaurant, they smash them. What's the difference?
I feel like mashed potatoes are more creamy though, and smashed potatoes still have some chunks in
skin
it.
or something. Or,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll accept
And
that
it was
answer.
a conversation starter, that's for sure. There you went.
Yeah. I wonder, like, some of these things have to be really tough to explain to foreigners, right? Like, these little nuances. I know every language probably has it and stuff, but like these little nuances of like, well, smashed is different than mashed.
Smashed is chunkier.
Yeah. I don't have the dessert menu or anything on here, so. And I love at the end here. We will gladly split any entree for a $5 plate charge. So you know they're getting fancy when they're adding a split
To bring you an extra plate.
fee. So that's Steakhouse 55 in Granville's, in essence. Wow, I can't talk. So that's Granville's and Steakhouse 55, basically.
I wish you could see Joel's face struggling to get the words out.
Just struggling in general in life right now.
Oh, you got twins. It's fine.
Yeah.
You're allowed.
The lounge at Granville's was also a bar it's right outside of the entrance to this restaurant. And originally it was called the Lounge at Granville's. So the Lounge at Granville's was the bar that was right outside of the restaurant. Going up the restaurant to the left, not a huge space, but there was this nice little lounge. And I think lounge is the best way to put it. They had a really small TV at one point. And it would always close way too early. I've experienced going over there when it was like Trader Sam's is too busy, so let's go over to the lounge, and it was already closed at like 9 o'clock or closing up shop. I'm like, I don't want to be, I
don't want to be that person.
Annoying them by trying to get a drink right now, and they're closing up. So this was actually called the Top Brass Bar for a really long time, and I guess it's remained called the Top Brass Bar even as it was Granville's, and it was later turned into the lounge in the mid 2000s. It looks like July of 2006 it changed the lounge at Granville's, and this is when it became a little bit more sophisticated. They added some nice big drapes and these deep grays and purples. I don't know if you guys remember this, kind of what that
Barely. I don't think I ever had a drink there.
No,
Okay.
me neither.
And I think you get the full menu. You could definitely get food there. It was a great little spot. So it created this contemporary look, and then it was later known, of course, as the Lounge at Steakhouse 55 when they changed to Steakhouse 55. I always thought it was funny, this little space, because just to the left of it is Goofy's Kitchen. So
Yes.
it does get pretty loud in there. You have families and kids
It's
running
not
amok.
the most relaxing lounge that you can
No.
find.
It is funny because, especially when they switched to the Lounge at Granville's, they put in this giant, really thick drape, but it is ultimately a curtain in the middle of these two spaces. At least that's what it looked like to me. It worked, especially when you're in this space. So the juxtaposition between the two was pretty funny.
Pretty jarring.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll address that whenever something opens back up, that they'll move the lounge over to the other side or something.
Goofy's reopened, didn't it? I think it did.
I think so.
Think so.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So this brings us just for a little bit to Steakhouse 71. Just let's commemorate Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary, which occurred October 1st. And the first reservations were available for Steakhouse 71 actually on September 16th, so it opened up a little bit earlier. But of course, the official opening was October 1st. They offer breakfast, lunch, and dinner here. And on DisneyWorld.com, it's stated as Steakhouse 71, which gets its name from the year the resort opened, has a sleek yet comfortable decor with fun design elements from the 70s and hints of our Florida heritage with subtle sightings of the beloved orange bird and citrus groves.
Honestly, that sounds delightful.
And, from the pictures, I personally like the look and feel of it. Of course, I haven't been there. I have been to the Wave, but it is far better than what the Wave was. I felt like the Wave was pretty sterile, and it did bother me without the windows.
The Wave was delicious. It had great food, but yes, it was very much, you felt like you were eating inside a box. Like,
yeah,
it was very much just like 4 walls and no windows. And
with all the restaurants that are at Disney World, the Wave just did not work for me. But now I think, kind of looking at this, and it makes sense for a more classy joint to have like the dimmer lighting. Mm-hmm. I think they made it not feel as much as like a box. The new entry hallway, because there's a long hallway to get in there, looks really nice too. So I've liked what they've done with the spot.
Well, I was going to say, I think I got to check out more of the reviews. I did pick up on one on YouTube, but I think it was like a breakfast/lunch review, so it seemed kind of bright in there. So do they dim the lights like just for the evening, or is that...
They might, and I'm glad you brought that up, because Steakhouse 55 also had breakfast, and it was very bright in there in the morning. And I remember kudos to them, because it was probably one of the best values on the property at the time that I went to have breakfast there, because you're dining at a really nice restaurant and getting a real breakfast. And I remember the pricing being like under $15. I'm like, I could probably spend almost the same amount on some Mickey waffles at Riverbell Terrace right now, so I was really happy with that. But I do remember it being very bright and a little bit darker at nighttime when we went to dinner. So I don't know if that's the case at Steakhouse 71.
I'm just so upset. It seems so ridiculous to not have these two. I'm fine with Disney World having a Steakhouse 71. I think it's a really cool way to celebrate your opening year and bring some history over there. But I'm so upset that they closed hours. Like, it seems to make so much sense, like synergy-wise, to have these bookend steakhouses, each celebrating each resort's opening year. That just makes no sense. Like, why? I feel like it's one of those instances of like one hand of the business not talking to the other hand of the business.
Sure.
And they already had this plan, which is open Steakhouse 71, and then the other side decided to close, and they never spoke to each other about it.
Right.
Like, I feel that's totally like what happened.
I'll let Josh tomorrow know. Like, look, you gotta
can you just
reopen
talk to him?
55. Okay.
I need some balance to both sides.
But, especially since it's pretty darn obvious that it's a play on the same name, even though they don't acknowledge it that way. But part of me does really feel like it's going to come back. Like, you can't not have a restaurant in that space, and it just seems like a no-brainer to call it that again, right?
It would be great if they brought it back and then did very much what Florida's doing and incorporate some more of Disneyland's original history into it, as opposed to, I mean, the movie stars were great. Like, that was a great theme, sure, but to incorporate the opening year of Disneyland in it a little more, find a way to make that classy, and that'd be a cool way to celebrate the park.
Yeah, and we did want to shout out the logo.
Oh God,
love it. Pretty.
The Steakhouse 71 logo is so great, with the 71 being interwoven into the contemporary building.
A-frame design.
Yeah. Oh,
and then
it was really good.
It's like that 71, but it's like very straight line 7, and then the 1 just a straight line, kind of italicized, to the side.
Yeah,
and it looks good.
It's great.
I give them props to that, and very retro feel to it. It fits the contemporary
Thumbs
perfectly.
Up. Yeah, good job.
A little extra excerpt from the website, just kind of talking about some of the cocktails.
Go on.
Citrus groves surrounding the resort when first being built were the inspiration for 2 refreshing cocktails. The Citrus Grove cocktail, which is Italian bitter, green herbal liquor, citrus juices, some syrup, and orange bitters. Evokes the scents of fresh oranges and citrus groves.
Oh my God, my husband would hate it. I
know.
love it.
Nothing but citrus.
All oranges. Sorry, Steven.
And the Steakhouse 71 vodka gimlet is vodka, green herbal liqueur, herbal blend, lime juice, simple syrup, and Minute Maid premium lemonade.
Ooh, premium.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
how you know it's
Ooh,
classy.
Yeah, fancy.
Is there a non-premium Minute Maid lemonade?
I don't know. I don't want to find out.
So this is a fresh herbaceous cocktail inspired by the Florida wetlands.
That doesn't sound great at all.
I was totally
branded
into it.
that one?
Wetlands.
No.
Give me some swamp drink.
Hey, the wetlands can be nice. It's
Well,
not,
do you want to drink it?
no,
That's
no.
the difference.
I-
An herbaceous wetland.
Not inspired by the water from the wetlands, but the smells that it. No, I don't. It doesn't make sense. You're right. The lily pad garnish is in honor of Lily and Disney.
Oh, that's
So
sweet.
that's a nice little add-on there. So let's take a look at the menu real quick. Why not? So we'll peruse the website for DisneyWorld.com. And, if we go to, because they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I think I'm going to skip breakfast. We'll just go through, skip lunch. And let's look at breakfast, though, first. And, of course, they have some
Oh
more.
my goodness. Thank goodness. They have plant-based oatmeal. I hate it when my oatmeal isn't plant-based. Don't give me that sausage oatmeal.
At least they're not calling it steel cut. I feel like they try to make it fancy by calling it steel cut oatmeal, and it's just dang plain oatmeal.
I usually do, like, the bamboo cut is my preferred.
Oh, that sounds fancy.
Yeah, right. So let's talk. Like, you have your standards. You have the American breakfast. You have the Walt's prime rib hash. I don't know what makes it Walt's, but it's seared prime rib, fried potatoes, caramelized onions and peppers, topped with fried egg.
That does sound good. I'd eat that.
This is where the 2021 hits you in the face. That's $17. This Steakhouse 71 Feast is eggs Benedict, scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, a Mickey-shaped waffle, bacon cheddar grits, breakfast potatoes, and fresh fruit for $20.
Well, that is a lot of food, though. That
Oh yeah, sure. It's justified. I'm just saying we've clearly hit the 2021 prices.
Oh, absolutely.
Though. Yeah.
I'll say their avocado toast is very cheap compared to what I paid at the Hearthstone.
Sure,
I think I paid like
$12.
$17 for my avocado toast.
Oh man. At where?
At Hearthstone, or not Hearthstone, at Craftsman. Craftsman.
Got it. And then just looking, nothing else of note when it comes to breakfast except for the drinks, of course. They had to throw one in. It is the 50th. I'll let it pass. The iridescent sipabration. Oh, man,
my
so
God.
bad.
Oh gosh, seriously?
terrible.
Iridescent sipabration. I'll let it slip. It is their 50th. They can do something corny. That's the Minute Maid Premium Lemonade. On the website, this one is actually registered Minute Maid. The other one did not have the registered trademark next to it.
See?
And fruity strawberry punch served in a souvenir 50th celebration cup with a surprise character and a little bit of magic. What is that, plastic character that's on the sipper? I don't know. But that's $10.
Real quick, just a little gripe that I have here. But why is the 50th iridescent? Like, why is that the theme?
Because they
Did they
can't
just
do
take
it.
gold?
They already did gold for Disneyland. They can't do the same thing.
Oh gosh. But then, so why is it iridescent? Just because of
Because
Mickey
they could make a
ears?
pun out of it.
Yeah.
Because they could make a pun out of it.
I was
I'm
like,
pretty
okay,
sure.
wait. I mean, they make everything iridescent, but it has nothing to do with ears. But whatever.
Well,
just
that's
thinking too
anything that has the ear pun in it doesn't have to do with ears.
I guess,
it's just
but
that
it's
it's
just like,
Disney.
okay, yeah. All right. Sorry.
Like the
All
Earful
that
Tower.
engineered toys, engineered, had the ear on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
At California
And that was
Adventure
dumb
Entrance.
too.
Yeah. By all means, it was dumb, but okay. And so we had wake up calls. This
yeah.
is good.
The bourbon cold
got some
brew. That
Yes.
sounds good.
Maker's Mark, some Joffrey's coffee cold brew, maple and vanilla bean cream for $13.
That sounds
Sign me
really
up.
good.
Yeah.
And I'll take a refillable mimosa since they're refilling it. I'll take one of those.
Yeah, that's for $19.
How many refills? Is it just one refill, or because it does not say bottomless? If you'll notice.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
There's no asterisks, so
Yeah,
They
I know.
need to tell you.
Up front, I need to know.
And then there's the Steakhouse Bloody Mary. So this is Tito's homemade vodka, Bloody Mary mix, and Steakhouse seasoning.
That sounds very boring. I feel like
Yeah.
they could have done more with that.
I don't think it's not a Steakhouse 71 Bloody Mary. It's just
it's
a
just a
Steakhouse Bloody Mary.
Put a steak on a skewer for me, and now we'll talk it.
And what is nice for those with allergies and some other, they have to look out for what they're eating. It is nice to have a whole allergy friendly entree section.
Yeah, it's large too.
It looks like it's almost everything, if not more, stuff with just the adjustments made to it. So it's pretty impressive. I think that's something where, this is really showing kind of them going above and beyond. That's not something they needed to do. So it's cool that they added that much on here. So kudos to them on that. Let's check out dinner, shall we?
Let's see what they got. Ooh, they got some yummy sounding appetizers.
Got
Ooh, they have bacon and eggs. But it's maple lacquered pork belly, smoked cheese grits, and the perfect egg.
for $15. Yeah, it looks good. What is this asterisk on here? A lot of these things have it. What is it trying to say?
I think that you can
How
get
it's
it
cooked?
maybe like, maybe.
or
maybe.
warning like eating raw eggs can.
Yeah,
something
if it's
like
not fully cooked or whatever.
that. Got
It
it.
One of
is
those
the
things.
raw undercooked thing.
Thank you. Got some crab cakes. Here we go. Sea salt dusted potato brioche. Steakhouse 71 onion rings, hand breaded with spicy ranch dipping sauce. Plant based.
They have a French onion soup, but it's not 7 onions, unfortunately.
Pathetic. And then let's go down to entrees, I guess. We have not too much.
It's a lot of
Am I missing
steaks.
something here?
No, it's just you had steaks, you got your sides.
Oh, it's a separate menu, and then there's some more entrees below, but
Yeah.
not many more.
But there's only 3 entrees that are not like steak.
Steak, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have the like vegetable Wellington.
Yeah, that actually looks really good.
Yeah. Florida sustainable fish and
Go read it.
omelette.
Right, read that French word, Joel.
So that's shrimp, fried potatoes, asparagus, baby carrots, and lemon beurre blanc. I'm terrible with French. Chicken chasseur. Oh, this is terrible.
I don't know that word. Cheshire? Cheshire?
This sounds right.
Cheshire cat.
Cheshire cat?
Pan-seared airline chicken breast.
Airline
Parsnip.
chicken breast.
Airline.
What does
What?
that mean?
That must be just like the style of cut, right?
God, I hope so.
They serve it on
thinly cut?
A metal dish. Here's a dry piece of chicken for you. $24, please.
Parsnip
weird.
puree, roasted mushrooms, sauce that
Cheshire
word.
cat.
Yeah.
Okay, but they do have their own chocolate cake here.
Oh, yes, and Cool Avenger was very bitter about this.
This one has whiskey infused chocolate cake. That sounds delicious.
So they even had to one-up us.
And raspberries.
course.
I feel like chocolate and raspberries is like such a like late 80s like palette.
Would you say early 70s?
Oh, you know what? Perhaps you're right. Perhaps maybe about 71. Perhaps yes.
Maybe. Yeah. And I guess we got to talk about the specialty cocktails, right?
Always.
The Magical Beacon cocktail for $17 is,
I was gonna say that better comes with a glow cube, but it does. I see that on the
of
bottom.
course, Empress 1908 gin, Bowls Blue Curacao, Minute Maid Premium Lemonade. Just dumb premium lemonade thing. It's that word that I can't pronounce. Looks like everything but orgeat or jot.
Orgeat. I think it's orgeat.
Okay.
Is
I
it?
don't know. One time I found the pronunciation and it immediately went out of my head and I cannot remember.
Same. I've looked it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, me too.
So that's almond
hilarious.
syrup, if you will. It has lemon in it, hibiscus, grenadine. Ooh, I like the added hibiscus to the grenadine. And a souvenir glow cube, as Beth mentioned.
So I see here there's a cocoa boulevardier. Mm-hmm. I did not know that
Boulevardier.
Boulevardier.
Yeah.
Boulevardier. I did not know that Disney had a Knob Creek bourbon. It says Knob Creek Disney Single Barrel
Oh,
Reserve.
yes. I heard about that.
Really? Well, that sounds delicious. It has Campari, Carpano, and
Yes.
I'm gonna be just like
I should have you read more of these so I don't feel so bad. Carpano Antica Formula Vermouth.
there we go. And chocolate bitters. I can say that one.
There we go.
Is
And
it
that's
a
also
Boulevardier?
Probably. Yep.
And the fig.
But in
Manhattan.
America, we don't say. I'm just kidding.
I don't even know what that is.
DA. Yeah.
And look at that fig Manhattan. It has monkey shoulder blended scotch, Cointreau Noir, fig simple syrup, and orange bitters.
You know what's funny is I didn't
Anything
even
with
notice
fig.
the pun there until you said it aloud. I'm like, oh, Figman. Fig Manhattan. Got it. Clever.
I love anything with fig, and then I love anything with pear, and I see this pear French 75. Oh gosh, why did I bring this one up? Courvoisier?
Crevassier.
Courvoisier. I've never seen it spelled out.
Don't say
before.
versus.
That's terrible. Versus.
No.
the cognac.
VS.
Oh, it's not.
Crevassier.
Courvoisier,
VS. Stands for very
cognac.
special cognac.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, just
tore
like
that one up.
it's just
Pear
like is it
nectar.
premium? Like the lemonade?
It's just standard.
Or is it just very special? I want
There you go.
premium.
Agave syrup, lemon juice, and prosecco. Those I know.
So it's definitely Boulevardier because it's Crevassier. Right?
See,
Yeah. Oh, man.
these are fun.
This is good. Let's just go let's go. I know everyone wants to hear it.
Let's read
Let's
every
just read
single-
off every single one.
Oh,
Oh, and they have a great beer selection too. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's nice to see. And it's not just like a bunch of IPAs, just some.
thank goodness.
Yeah. Although
Oh,
they
they-
do have the Cigar City.
I was gonna say they've got the grapefruit Hefeweizen.
There you go. It's a pretty good menu. I am pleased with it. I will probably not be seeking out to go to Steakhouse 71 just because there's so many other options that I would probably just. I will enjoy the ambiance probably more. So, not a knock on Steakhouse 71 in any way. I do think it's great what they did, and it's probably smart that they moved on from the wave and added this instead. Plus, especially for the 50th, just having something celebrating its past. So I thought we would not have enough content to fill up more, like it'd be less than an hour. But we haven't even started talking about the other pieces, other restaurants and bars of Disneyland Hotel. But let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so there's some other bars, obviously. Some history for the Disneyland Hotel. Some that kind of hold close to our heart. It's probably the Lost Bar.
Oh,
I really think that was my first like Disney drinking experience. I really didn't go to the Disneyland Hotel when I would come in my youth. Like my family we never stopped there and explored there. But once I turned 21 and I started kind of going off and exploring on my own vacations, that became like my first Disneyland drinking area. So yeah, it definitely holds a place in my heart.
yeah, same here. And it was a weird, surreal feeling because it felt like you're kind of being bad.
Yeah,
turning
like
21
because
at Disneyland.
it felt like a dive bar. It felt like there's not many like bars in Disneyland that feel like a dive bar. Like if you think about Disney World going there, like there's never really a place that feels divey. But the Lost Bar definitely had that sticky floor. And it definitely smelled like a dive bar where like you could like smell all the different drinks that have been spilled throughout the night.
Yeah, and this was a cast member hangout too. It was known for a lot of cast members hanging out there after their shifts. A lot of problems arised there too, and I've known some people to get in trouble for some antics that went on at the Lost Bar.
Was not us.
Not me.
Clarify.
Not-
I just want to
definitely
clarify.
not me.
Nobody
Definitely.
here.
Nobody in our group of friends even. But yeah, so the Lost Bar. I mean, if you want to explain it a little bit further, Beth. I mean,
Yeah, it really was just. It was
A tin
a couple
roof.
of it was a tin roof and it was very open air, so it would like
I think
roll up, right? Like roll up doors that would just kind of
yeah,
like
or maybe they could fold in or something like that. But
Yeah,
they
something
could close off the sides of the
Yeah, but most
walls.
of the times when he went there, it was very open. A lot of times they had live music, somebody playing, guitar, or it wasn't a very big space, so maybe it was like a small band. And they had, tables, or you could go sit up at the bar. They also had tables outside. It was a really fun atmosphere, and it really felt like your small local bar is what it felt like.
Yeah. And I think this came kind of, it took over the Wharf Bar, which was in the same location, similar structure. That was another informal watering hole, like a rustic wharf with country western music for dancing and singing. I think took place there. But I think it changed the Lost Bar with the remodel of the pool area, or adding it in there, taking away the marina, putting the Neverland pool into the center of the Disneyland Hotel. And it made sense because the Lost Boys, this is the Lost Bar, which is kind of funny. You're talking about these kids, and this is
and here's a bar.
So obviously, at that time, especially when it first opened, California Adventure wasn't there, and as we became of age to drink, too, it became, we had some options in California Adventure, but it wasn't like it is today with kind of sophisticated or these nice bars. It was really like, this is where the youngins went, and those that really enjoyed their dive bars. So it was a great spot. And furthermore, I just thought it was funny. This area still had some left behind storefronts from the marina. Mm-hmm. So right next to it was at this time they had the Crystal Arts, right? Store in there where it's third party. They I'm sure you've seen them before, and they make like characters out of glass and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then right outside of that were some Jungle Cruise motorized boats.
Oh, the motorboats to drive. So fun.
Yeah. And it's some of you they had some boats that were kind of off the main walkway, off the main lobby, that were kind of within the marina space. And then those moved later. They probably weren't the same boats, but eventually there was a space made over here by the Lost Bar, and that space was still there when it was the Wharf Bar too. But that was a great little spot, and I thought it was kind of cool that it was themed to the Jungle Cruise. At least the boats were.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you could not beat going and having a couple of like really, 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 really sweet but strong drinks at the Lost Bar, and then like going for a walk through the waterfalls or anything like that. Like,
yeah,
you couldn't beat that.
This was before the artisan cocktails, if you will.
Artisan.
Yes. Artisan.
Yes.
Does it
artisan.
Matter?
I mean, I don't care.
I think it's artisan.
But it was before people really cared about having some like aerating the alcohol.
Yeah, this was like straight up Midori and
Gin and
pineapple,
tonic.
like
and sweet and sour.
I was looking at
mix.
I specifically remember having the Last Resort, which was just Bacardi, lemon rum, Midori, Chambord, and pineapple juice. Like, that is a sweet ass drink.
And right next door was Croc's Bits and Bites, which was just a quick service, a little window for like your normal kind of poolside fare, right? I think it had mostly like chicken strips, maybe the hamburger, and that type of stuff. That was right next door. That actually previously was known as Maxie's Pantry. I don't know why it was called Maxie's.
I tried to Google that. I could not find a damn thing about that place.
Where'd you find that, Joel?
Yeah, I don't know where I found it. I just saw some stuff where it was clearly in that space. Right next door to the Lost Bar is, or was, Hook's Point, which was a, typical American food restaurant, I would say. I don't, did any of you guys dine there?
I don't think I ever did. I don't remember it if I did. It was, if I did, it did not hold my interest.
It had some great artwork in there, a lot of hand-carved woods, at least I believe. I mean, it was a long time ago, and I think I only ate there once. But it was totally fine. I had no issue with it. Before that, I believe that was called the Shipyard Inn, which made sense for when it was the marina out there. As you can see, the theme that happened when it became the Neverland Pool out there, that you can understand why it became, I mean, you can understand the theming, everything's going around Peter Pan.
They had a real theme going there. It I feel like it only lasted for such a short time, that pool. Like, I feel it was only there for like 10 years maybe.
Oh,
I don't know the opening date of that pool. It had to have been early 2000s, right?
It was early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah. And underneath Hook's Point, and this is something I'm very upset that I never went to, I only walked in when I knew it was closing, was the wine cellar. Did you ever go there?
No, I never did. And I am also upset about it.
Did you ever see it, though?
No, I never went. I never even went inside. Yeah, yeah, I saw the outside.
This is one of those things, like, I remember vividly being at Lost Bar and knowing that existed and had no interest at that time.
At that time, I'm like, wine?
Yeah, it's
in my Midori.
Yeah. But looking back, because it was a really small room underneath, I think you even had to kind of walk down maybe to get in there, but it was underneath the restaurant, and it had a really cool wooden door with a little square window to view inside. And inside was very quaint and kind of what you expect from a wine cellar.
Can you imagine? It would be so popular now.
Oh, you wouldn't be able to get in.
Yeah,
It was smaller than what Trader Sam's is today.
Yeah.
So
it'd be Magic Keys only.
That'd be even worse. So obviously the area went through some different iterations, and there's been just a different mix of restaurants and bars within that area. Really a cool space, and obviously, or maybe not obviously, after Hook's Point, it turned into Trader Sam's. They essentially kept the bones of that building, I feel like, and adjusted it to become Trader Sam's Tiki Bar, and then the other side is the Tangaroa Terrace. Mm-hmm. Still, I think most people listening are familiar with this space. It is, I love it. I just wish the interior, of course, was bigger for Trader Sam's.
Yeah.
And now that it's so popular, the seating area, the patio space, has extended out to where Tangaroa Terrace is, where before it was only right in front of Trader Sam's for Trader Sam's. And now really the whole area can change throughout the day as more people come in. It can be Tangaroa Terrace seating, and then they can move kind of this red rope to kind of include more area to be part of Trader Sam's. And now they have an outdoor bar set up too, so they can get drinks from a separate space outside.
They really extended the seating also, well, at least pre-pandemic, all the way out to like the fireplace area, where they actually, sometimes you'd sit out there before, it was kind of hit or miss. Mm-hmm. But last time that I was there, it was like they had someone like stationed there to take care of that specific area, like where they had a dedicated person that was their spot.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I want to get to like the restaurants and the areas that were on that kind of the mall space, if you will, outside of the towers. But first, I did want to just mention, before Goofy's Kitchen area, there was the Cafe Villa Verde restaurant, also known as the Villa Verde Ristorante in different areas. So that's where Goofy's Kitchen is now. Obviously, you can see a much different feel that would have been there at that time. When this pavilion opened, it was kind of an extension to the convention center. I felt like it was a bigger theme going on here that complemented the marina and the surrounding area. So downstairs, this is an Italian restaurant, but you had like this patio space that really, it's completely gone now. It's just walkways, a small little planter. But this was a giant patio, and this patio even extended around the corner, which is now what I call no man's land. The arches are still there and stuff, but now it's just like this little small walkway that really just goes to backstage. No one goes over there because there's no reason to be over there. There's nothing there. You have a staircase that leads up to the second story of this space. It's kind of this octagon designed, not facade, but the front of the building. And up there was the pavilion lounge. So there was cocktails and I believe some live entertainment and some other stuff that occurred up there. Kind of cool. Some bamboo style kind of framing for this bar that was up there that I never got to experience in person. But now the staircase leads to nothing. No one's ever going to be using it, and that whole space is just like this dead space. It's just crazy looking at some of these old photos, and I'm like, look at this happen in the spot, like all this stuff here, and how it just worked so well, and now it's really nothing. It's just like pavement, some walkway, Goofy's kitchen.
I found this this photo. Well, it was like, I'm sure it was like something that was actually posted at the hotel for Cafe Villa Verde, and it's like it's for Sunday brunch. So apparently they had a Sunday champagne brunch, and it says Sunday champagne brunch on the marina, hot entrees, cold buffets, bubbling champagne. And it has this like 2-tier table like covered in cheeses and different cold buffet items, and then these two, like, I think they're swans, I don't know, but they're these two big huge ice sculptures in the middle of the table. Very fancy. Very fancy. I wonder,
that would have been the spot.
Like, did they have these ice sculptures every Sunday for brunch?
I'm sure they did.
Like, I
believe
love it. I love it.
I mean, I guess it could have done it just for the photo, but I could see them doing it.
The weird thing is that it's very dark in the background. Like, it looks like it's nighttime, so it does kind of look like a funeral feel. I don't know why it's a little depressing, but...
Is it a black and white photo?
No, it's not. Okay. Let me see if I can post
That's what sucks. A lot of the stuff is, like, there's these great clear photos that are really from, like, the 80s and early 90s, but it's clear that it's for, like, print, and it, like, went into, like, newspapers or something, or like a brochure, and they're just black and white. I'm like, oh, I wanted to see this.
I want to see what it looks like. I put it at the very bottom of the show notes of our Steakhouse notes. The very bottom. You could take.
I gotta go look. Oh yeah, it kind of matches the Granvilles.
So yeah, I'm assuming that those were like advertisements that were at the hotel for the restaurants, but.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive spread. This is a true brunch that we're looking at here at Cafe Villa Verde. Which is funny because it's like, it's Cafe Villa Verde, or is it like this nice restaurante?
Yeah.
It doesn't really know what it wants to be, I feel like. Or maybe it's cafe in the morning, and I don't know.
Villa Verde at night.
Going back then, I guess, that really covers the area within the marina space, I would say. Let's not forget about Stromboli's Ristorante.
Why?
This is
Why
like that
is it
creeping
named after a villain? It's like a villain, and then you look at the menu, and he looks so jolly and happy. No, he's a villain. I don't get it.
Well, he's trying to trick you. You know, of course he looks jolly in Hollywood.
Jolly in Holiday. You're in the Christmas spirit, Joel. I can sense it.
Yeah.
He was an entertainer, though, so we got to give him that.
That's true, but he just looks so happy and jolly, like, come in, let old Stromboli take care of you. That was my terrible Italian accent.
So you can see this was like their slow attempt to really introducing the Disney into the Disneyland Hotel, with all the other stuff not being character-based. And then you go from the Villa Verde to Stromboli's, and then you went, like the Wharf Bar into the Lost Bar, all these other things that really took on this character presence. Then Stromboli's would end up closing in 1999, making way for good old Goofy's Kitchen, where you can get a meal for your kid.
Peanut butter and jelly pizza.
Ooh. Yeah. So let's go back out to the kind of the monorail area and the shops that are outside, just outside of Disneyland Hotel. I want to get to Neon Cactus, but it had a predecessor.
It did.
The name alone is everything. Beth?
It was Sergeant Preston's Yukon Saloon. Okay, now as I said...
And dance hall.
And dance hall, sorry. And dance hall. Okay, so as I said, I never went to the hotel before the early 2000s. We just never went there. So this was never even a thing on my radar. Mm-hmm. But, so I was like, what is this place? Okay, first of all, this was named after a TV show that was called, originally it was a radio show, but then in 1955, there was a TV show called Sergeant Preston of the Yukon, produced by none other than Jack Rather. Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
It aired from 1955 to 1958. So this is how Disney described it. This was on their stuff at the hotel. A boisterous, fun-filled bar reminiscent of the Klondike Gold Rush days of 1898. Frantic antics, outrageous drinks, honky-tonk piano, fiddle pickin', singin', and dancin', and impromptu performances by Utah characters. So then I was like, I must know more about this place. This is now my whole identity is Sergeant Preston's.
Sergeant Preston's,
Yes.
yeah.
So then I found this article in the LA Times that was written in 1991 by Frank Messina, and it was called The Goofiest Bar on Earth. And so in this article, Frank takes a date to Disneyland Hotel to try to impress her with his knowledge of bars. He'd never been to this bar before. He wanted like a quiet drink, a little piano, a little jazzy piano, a little crushed cushion seats so he could, have his fancy date. And so he took her to Sergeant Preston's, and as what he said, we found was some serious dementia Disney style, is how he described it. So basically, they had a person in a bear costume. There was a bear costume that was there. There was a Mountie named Sergeant Preston. It was a whole dang show. There was showgirls, and it honestly looks amazing and something that the Disneyland hotels are missing. You can find this kind of stuff at Disney World. Like they have jelly rolls, and they have these things that have like productions to them. Yeehaw Bob or Hoop-de-Doo Review, all these things that have this like production. And that's basically what this was at a bar. They had like a whole show. They had this whole thing. I actually went and found a video of it on YouTube. They had a whole Christmas special during Christmas time.
You found a video? You didn't share it with me?
I wanted to keep it a surprise. I'll share it.
Oh, I gotta see this.
And yeah, they would have like audience participation. They'd bring people up from the audience and have them participate in the show. And it just sounds amazing. And in fact, one of the drinks they had was called the Can. And it says, a blend of strawberries and amaretto encircled by a souvenir garter for $5.75. And I have never wanted to go to a place more in my life. If this existed, I would go there every weekend.
This place sounds
incredible. What the fuck, Disney?
Right?
Get this stuff back. No, and see, this is my issue with some of the new, not placemaking, but changes to really Disneyfying a lot of the bar experiences and stuff. You can still have a Disney experience with quality, but having it be so clean sometimes. Where this is where I think Pleasure Island really thrived, and some other things where you kind of feel like you've left the Disney bubble in a sense to having stuff really more quote unquote adult oriented, more so than just having a bar that's really well themed to stuff that kind of relates to what's in the Disney parks. You have something like this
a little more organic fun. Like I feel like it's a little more organic. Like
yes.
Audience participation, you're not going to get the same thing every time. I mean, the act might be the same, but how people interact and react to things is not always going to be the same.
Right.
I found the video.
Did you find it?
And it's incredible. Yeah, the can dancer. It's like, wow, like this is a full-on production.
It was a whole show. They had a bear costume. Amazing. I will send you the link, Joel, because you will need to watch this. It's amazing. Now, what I was doing my research, I found another place called Sergeant Preston's. It's called Sergeant Preston's of the North. I cannot tell if it is a sister bar, but it's in Lafayette, Indiana. And I'm just going to read you this paragraph from their website.
It's still open?
Yes, it's still open. It's called Sergeant Preston's of the North was the gregarious brother of the famous 1938 radio television series Sergeant Preston of the Yukon, a Royal Canadian Mountie and his lead sled dog, Yukon King. Legend says that Sergeant Preston of the North was more into having a good time and looking for adventure than he was tracking down evildoers. This bar opened in 1980. I cannot tell if it, there was no information if it was, but it says it's based off of the TV show, right? So I feel like it's a sister. But
what are you guys doing next week?
I know. Let's go to Indiana.
Wow.
Yeah, I really went down a big rabbit hole with this, and every turn led me to more delights and more surprises.
I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but This is what it always dumbfounds me that we can still find stuff like this that we really don't know anything about.
Right? Yeah.
And I know I'm sure, some people that have been around a little longer, went to Disneyland Hotel more than we did when this was around, of course, that know all about this, but no one talks about this stuff. I'm surprised I don't see more, because it's just so unique and different. There's not enough of this type of stuff out there.
Yeah,
So,
this is something that I really miss about the Disneyland Resort, and why I feel like right now they cannot be a true resort, because they don't have these types of experiences.
right.
The next layer.
They need to,
right,
yeah, that's the
of your
next thing that
vacation.
they need to bring that back to it if they want it to be a resort destination, I feel like, because sometimes you just need something a little bit different,
Yeah. So
I feel
obviously,
like-
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add that, I feel like this could really be a hit if they were to bring it back, because it plays on the nostalgia, but it's not as familiar enough to where it could be something completely new and interesting, but, still tied to the whole theme of how they're trying to, maintain the whole, like, retro feel of the hotel. So.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And how campy. Like, I just
Right.
feel like it would be a huge hit. Just for the camp value alone, it would be a huge hit.
And obviously, so I can see them needing to move on from Sergeant Preston's, not just because it's kind of ridiculous, and I'm sure it's campy and silly, but because it was Jack Rather's thing, and we've gone to, it's no longer owned by Disney. Or sorry, it's no longer owned by Jack Rather. Now it's owned by Disney. They move on, and not to a Disney thing by any means. This must have been kind of more popular for that time period, but it turned into the neon cactus. Yes. So I have some information from the circa 1990s menu. So this is the neon cactus at Disneyland Hotel. I would say your typical early 90s type of drinks. You had your appetizers and snacks like your, what is that? Munchie nachos? Munchie nachos?
Munchie.
Munchie makes more sense. It's a weird font, people.
You got the
Munchie
munchies.
nachos. Yeah. The munchie nachos.
Buffalo flautas.
Yeah. Ooh.
I feel like that's pretty, like, buffalo seems pretty exotic
That's
for
progressive.
for that time period.
And then you had pizza and
And then corn pups.
corn pups. Yeah, that type of stuff, right? But you go into the drinks. This is like what we were talking about with Lost Bar and these type of drinks, like the lemon drop, the watermelon. Oh, this is what it says on the menu. This is a quick shot. This is $4.50. This watermelon.
Could you imagine?
Oh, so refreshing is what it says. Southern Comfort with amaretto, pineapple juice, and grenadine. I think this is the actual shot, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I love how they have a whole shot menu.
Yeah.
Lemon drop.
Giddy up.
Just like candy. Everyone has like a little red hot. Enough said. Snake
Vodka
bite.
with cinnamon, schnapps, and hot sauce.
Oh, God, gross.
Sorry, snake bite. Go continue.
Oh, snake bite. Are you ready to bite back?
Wow.
Giddy up, ride 'em, cowboy.
And shoot the root.
The way root beer was supposed to be.
No way.
It says DA. Da way.
The way.
Root beer schnapps with beer. Oh, man. They don't make them like they used to, huh?
Oh my gosh. But even so, like, these drinks are so cheap. The neon cactus, which, named for the restaurant itself, $6.75, and you get to keep a souvenir glass boot.
That's kind
Yeah.
of steep.
Midori, of course. Everything is
Yeah,
Midori.
everything's Midori.
Midori, amaretto, pineapple juice, and sweet and sour. These drinks are so sweet.
The Coolin Canteen. Try this chilled concoction of Midori, blue curacao, sweet and sour pineapple juice, and lemon lime. Man, this is so unique. Everything's with sweet and sour. The Longhorn Lemonade, bourbon, sweet and sour, and lemon lime soda.
Yeah, but
Maybe that was pretty exotic back then. No one really knew what that
Green?
was. And, so I'm just wondering if then they were looking at this menu and thinking like, ooh, wow, what's Midori? Let's try
This-
that.
I don't know
This
about
one.
that, yeah.
the Sizzling Sun has Malibu, rum, Midori, orange juice, and pineapple juice. Like, that just sounds like straight up what I would have made it. Like 22, all my, like, junky alcohol.
Yeah.
Just, like, poured it together.
and so the neon cactus actually got a lot of gripe or kind of like press, if you will, within the local newspapers. I think it caused for some riffraff, in the area. And, you had the young, up until a certain point, I think it was all ages. There was dance floor etiquette that I'm going to read.
Oh my goodness. This
on
is
the back of the menu.
Gold. Yes. This is gold.
But keep in mind when this was closing, it was a big deal because this was kind of a local hangout, I think, too, for a lot of the youth of the area.
But, the line dancing youth.
Yes. So the dance floor etiquette reads on the back of this large menu, please be aware that couples who are country dancing, for example, 2-step or 3-step, etc., have the right-of-way on the outside of the dance floor. Freestyle dancers are invited to dance in the center of the dance floor. During group or line dances, for instance, the tush push, dancers must make room for dancers who know the proper dance steps. Everybody is invited to learn country western dances during our dance lessons Wednesday through Sunday, 8 to 9 p.m. Those of you who know all the right steps, please be patient and helpful to all the beginners.
Can you imagine? You don't know these dance steps. Get to the side.
Make room.
Make room for these people. It's just so different. Something like this would just never exist today, at least not in Southern California.
No.
Well, did you know the tush push?
Do you know it?
Of course.
Get up and show us, please, Derek. I feel like you do know it.
No, I don't know it.
That did not sound believable.
I don't believe you. Let's see it.
I've never even heard of it.
Okay.
What is it? Beth seems to know.
All I'm assuming it's a country line dance.
I'm assuming you push that tush.
Ah.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah. Also out in this general area, I would say, was the Monorail Bar. I don't know the exact location. Do you know where this was, Beth?
No. I feel like everything has like changed so much, and like trying to like pinpoint exactly where it was. I can't quite place it exactly where it was.
Well, it is stated that this was located next to the monorail platform. I just don't know if it was like directly next to it,
right on, right under it.
You had to walk a little bit. Sorry for not knowing the exact location, but this monorail bar is kind of known for being the spot for a bunch of dads to be able to take the monorail from Disneyland, and they kind of be dropped off, if you will, at the Disneyland Hotel, and spend their time at the monorail bar, and then hop back on the monorail and head back into Disneyland. Because, I mean, there's nowhere else to get a drink. You'd get it at the hotel. I have a 1970 ad here, which I love the design. It's nothing special, but it's like, because the monorail bar was like this long oval, if you will. I don't know a better way to describe it. Kind of like a racetrack, like a long.
Yeah, it had like the bar like kind of went down the middle of it, and it kind of the building kind of curved around the bar, the curved bar. Yeah.
Yes. And the saying was, catch a cocktail, anything from a sidecar to a caboose. That's what it says on the ad.
That is like, what a line. That's great.
And it does say on the ad, at the Disneyland Hotel monorail station. So I'm going to go with it was right there. Yeah. Man, and you know, that station's in the same spot as it was when it was still next to the monorail bar and the monorail cafe. So I wish I knew exactly.
Back,
I was
Disney.
just curious, like, did they always have the monorail cafe, or was the bar in place of the cafe?
No, it definitely wasn't in the same spot, but the monorail cafe was called something else beforehand. The name escapes me, and I feel bad for not knowing it, but it was called something before Monorail Cafe. So this featured transportation modes around the world and had panoramic windows which showed the approaching monorail trains. But throughout there, I've only seen truly 2 photos. I can't find any more photos.
Like not much
of inside
out there.
Yeah, and they're both promotional photos, and it was very cute. Like kind of more of had a trolley feel right inside. Mm-hmm. I would say is the best way to describe it. And then you have like the transportation, different types of modes of transportation.
Yeah,
on the
I
walls
would have. That would have been a place that I would have loved to go to. It looks like it just
100%.
It looked cozy, but still like with the views, and it looked great.
It had the right amount of theming, and then like to your point about like it being trolley themed, like the whole roof of it had like those ads along the border.
Yes.
Right. Like I thought that was a cool touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would have been a fun place for all of us to go, I think.
And a big, a known drink from that bar was the Monorail Red drink. Now there's Monorail different colored drinks in Florida that are still around. They're also served at the Top of the World restaurant at the Contemporary Resort. And I think maybe another location you can get these. But the original recipe calls for this lemon bar mix, which is basically sweet and sour. But here's the original recipe for the Monorail Red drink. It was 1.25 ounces of tequila, 3/4 ounce of Galliano, 3/4 ounce of Grenadine, 2.5 ounces of lemon bar mix, 2 ounces of pineapple juice, and you would shake ingredients with ice, strain into a Collins glass filled with crushed ice, and top it with some maraschino cherries. So
No Midori at all.
No Midori.
But still got your sweet and sour.
Grenadine, too. And that pineapple juice was big.
Yeah, that's how you knew it was tropical.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're on vacation. If your drink has pineapple juice in it, you are on vacation.
Yeah. By the way, I'm annoyed. I'm looking up, trying to figure out what the original name for the Monorail Cafe was, and everything is like Simpsons that comes up.
That doesn't help.
No.
Monorail.
Yeah. Monorail. Monorail. And then you had the Top of the Park Hotel.
Oh my goodness.
Or Top of the Park.
Try it again. I'll make my oh my goodness sound authentic.
Then you had the Top of the Park bar.
Oh my goodness.
From this was from 1962 to 1989 and lasted quite a long time. This is what is now the e-ticket lounge. Wah wah wah. So this is now where if you're staying there, you have to be staying at the Disneyland Hotel. You can go up there. It's on the top floor of the now Adventure Tower, and this has views of the park. You can watch the fireworks from there. They pump in the music. The decor and everything is pretty bland now. It's nothing, I would say, nothing special. It's a nice little perk of staying at the Disneyland Hotel. But the Top of the Park bar or lounge, wow. I guess I haven't done enough research on it. I saw one of these photos. Beth, rightfully so, pointed out the outfits of the waitress, server. Yeah.
Yeah, like it looked straight out of like a Broadway chorus line. Like it was like a leotard. I'm not gonna say it was a Playboy bunny outfit, but it was like the same kind of like the leotard type, like super short. Like maybe they were shorts, but they looked like just like a leotard. And was she wearing a hat? I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember.
Oh, but yeah, she
was
did
wearing
kind of
some
look
heels.
like with heels. It was amazing. Like I definitely wanted to be served a drink by her.
I can only imagine like how smoke filled this room probably was.
God, and I'm sure the clientele did not treat the waitresses the best, but
no. But I bet there was some classiness that was also happening.
Yeah,
it kind of
I'm
goes
sure.
back and forth on the different types of patrons that this hotel would, or this bar would cater to, right?
Yeah.
But this is definitely an elegant place. Sorry, it had the glass elevator.
She has a top hat. I'm sorry, I had to go back and find the
thank
picture. She has a top hat. Oh, and like a tuxedo jacket. So it's like this tuxedo jacket, and like these might be shorts. Almost positive she has tails on. It's very hard to tell. This picture is dark, but amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
You might as well be asking for a change from your casino chips with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah, they had the glass elevator that went up that just was removed not that long ago. That was on the outside of the Dreams Sierra Adventure Tower, and so that would take you up to the top. Fun fact: the Hotel Disneyland letters weren't put up the building until 1963, and then if you've seen the old pictures of the original hotel tower, it wasn't large enough, and where the elevator was, it was poor planning. Where the elevator was placed, they had to put Hotel Disneyland instead of Disneyland Hotel because there wasn't enough space for those giant neon lighters that used to be on the top of the towers. So a lot of people didn't know. What?
In the Hotel Disneyland. Yeah. Such a lovely place.
So, eventually they would add on to that tower and they could eventually update the letters and the words now be the Disneyland Hotel on top.
I kind of like Hotel Disneyland though.
It does sound classy.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially the style of resort it is.
Right.
It feels more like a retro. I don't know how to describe that. You know, it kind of seems more fitting for the type of hotel the Disneyland Hotel is. And also, the top of the park was kind of a play on words of the San Francisco well-known rooftop bar called the Top of the Mark, which is on the top of the Mark Hopkins Hotel. I did not know this until researching, but apparently that's where the top of the park kind of comes from, even though that works perfectly just for the fact that it's, the top of the Disneyland park, and you can see the park.
See the park.
See the park. And that basically covers the majority of the restaurants and bars from Disneyland Hotel's history. There's, of course, a few more. It's not covering all of them. There's even this restaurant called the Gourmet Restaurant. That was the brand. It was a chain called Gourmet that was in that same area of where like the Monorail Cafe was. That was just outside of the Monorail station, which is now in downtown Disney. And I kind of left off. We don't need to go too much into it. Trader Sam's, we talked about it briefly. That opened in May 2011 to kind of round out to where we are today with Disneyland Hotel.
So many places that I just wish I could have experienced, you know?
I do.
Everyone, take photos of the interiors of your restaurants and the interior buildings because in like 15 years, we're going to forget what stuff looked like and we're going to want to look back and know what it looked like inside.
Yeah. I hope there's not a day, actually, Derek, that we get to a point where we long for the days of the 2021 Disneyland Hotel. Like, I hope it doesn't get much worse that we're like, remember back when they had a walkway that went over the pool area?
I wish I didn't complain so much back then.
Yeah. Remember when there was a large grassy knoll where you used to have the waterfalls and that you could kind of sneak onto during the day and walk over to where Fantasy Waters once was, that is now covered in a ton of ivy. I mean, it's now torn down because they're building the DVC tower, but that's how it was for a few years. You know, it's
already happening.
Yeah.
It's already happening. Let's go back to like really retro and like really bring in the vintage feelings for the Disneyland Hotel. I feel like it would be so amazing.
They need to double down on it because they did it. They're already doing that. They're going the retro style, but they got to double down, especially with it. I mean, the exterior did not go that route. They went with the everywhere
contemporary
blue.
Like, yeah, I mean, I get it. You don't want to see like looking at photos of the towers before, you can see like some window blinds open and some closed, and it was kind of a weird look. I get that, but did it have to be like bright blue?
Well, I think they did that
to be whimsical.
No. I don't feel like they changed it to be that blue to avoid people seeing the windows kind of half open, some closed and stuff, because they could have just tinted it if they wanted to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They wanted it to go away with the sky, is what the plan was. Just disappear from the system.
It's wrong blue. Our skies are not that blue in Anaheim.
Well, I think we did a fair comparison to like, what's the resort at Universal? Cabana Bay?
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect example of the type of theme that the Disneyland Hotel could have gone with, like if they really like doubled down on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have felt like you were transported back to a specific time and place. You know?
Yeah. I think they can take a lot of notes just from previous...
Their own past.
Mm-hmm, their own past of the Disneyland Hotel and kind of bring back some of it, of course, to a modern
standards.
Yeah, modern standards and a little modern twist to some
I mean,
things.
they don't need to be like, oh, we have air conditionings and TV in our rooms, and obviously we're not going to be excited about that. But
Yeah, but I would enjoy some red plush carpet back.
Yeah,
in the lobby
bring it
space.
back. Give me
Or they
some.
can just like raise everything and start over.
I'm not
Bring in-
opposed. I'm not
Bring in
opposed.
the Tokyo Disneyland Hotel.
I just, you know what? I'll forgive a lot if they bring me something like Sergeant Preston's. Again, I'll
No.
forgive a lot.
I'll settle for that.
Not gonna happen. Just won't happen. I wish, but
Something. It doesn't have to be Sergeant Preston's exactly, but
then the neon cactus.
it's not the same at all.
And then the
Lost
top of the
Bar.
park. Get rid of the e-ticket lounge. Let anybody go up there. I'll do a cover. I don't have some dueling pianos up there and have a cover charge to get in there. I don't know.
I'd be in.
fun.
I'd be down. I'd love a dueling piano bar.
Well, thanks so much for talking Disneyland Hotel with me. I think we could definitely do some more episodes on the Disneyland Hotel on kind of specific areas within it. But it is a fascinating topic and really allows for you to go down a rabbit hole. But I hope you enjoyed our little discussion on bars and restaurants of the Disneyland Hotel.
I say next we do Paradise Pier Hotel.
That'd be a good April Fool's joke. Like a welcome to our 6-part series on the Paradise Pier Hotel.
We're
going to
four
start
by
off
four.
with what was it originally? Not before Pan. I think it was called something even before Pan Pacific.
Pacific.
Oh, really?
Pacific?
Before
Oh.
that? Oh gosh. I can't
The
remember.
Ramada Inn?
No, it was definitely it was definitely something. But yeah, I wish I remember what that Monorail Cafe was called. It was. I think it was just like the coffee shop. The coffee shop is what it was called. I think. Sorry.
I'll take your word for it.
In fact, the Disneyland Hotel's delightful coffee house is just a stone's throw south of the very spot where you're now standing. We also invite you to browse through our many shops and enjoy the beautiful landscaped grounds of the hotel.
All right. Well, until our next happy hour, when you aren't able to join us on Off Harbor in Maine, you can find us online. You can always find us on Twitter and Instagram. It's simply @OffHarbor, and our personal handles are also available under the show notes. Also, feel free to drop us a line at podcast@offharborinmaine.com. We do really love hearing from you. And as I mentioned kind of earlier on in the show, we love reviews. Please, if you haven't already, give us a rating. A review is always great. It can be a one-liner. It can be 2 words. I don't care. Give us a review. We appreciate it. And seriously, thank you all so much for listening. Making memories, sharing dreams, watching time go by. Each enchanted day, your heart will sail away to castles in the sky. On behalf of the birdies, flowers, and tikis here at Off Harbor in Maine, farewell and aloha to you.
We'll see you all next time.
Stay well and cheers.
Cheers.
Remember, just believe.
Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Ready as we'll ever be?
Ready as we'll ever be.
A-O-U-E.
And sometimes why?
I always thought about that too. I was like,
Can that be the
I
blooper?
mean, E's, Y is kind of in there. E. A-O-U-E.
La-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la.
And with it no longer a rather owned hotel, it kind of just further pushed for that modernism. Retro modern? Everything sounds wrong to me right now. Should leave all this stuff in.
Too much espresso,
Yeah.
Nespresso, eggnog presso.
But it is funny. Just a spit.
You can do it, Joel.
Juxtaposition. No, I can't do it. What's the word?
Juxtaposition?
Yeah,
Juxtaposition?
juxtaposition. That's where I was missing the X. I was like, what's not working here? The juxtaposition between the two. Yeah. And right next door to the Lost Bar was the Lost Bites. So it was a little... Bless you. Bless you.
Is that Justin? Bless you, Justin.
Maybe I just figured it out just out of like cross or illumination or whatever. Cross. God, I can't think of any sayings tonight.
Process of elimination.
Process of cross eliminate. Process of.
You're saying cross examination and process of elimination. And you're mixing them up.
I did have some.
We understood
single barrel scotch before my drink today.
Oh, okay. It's all coming out.
I only went there once, and it had some great like wood carving, like not furniture, like wood hanged art in there.
Wood hanged?
Wood hanged.
Whoa. Let's not talk about wood hanged on this podcast. Stay well and cheers.
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 See, Beth, you don't have to say cheers because you said.
I know, but then I felt like
cheers.
But then I felt like it would just be two guy voices together.
True.
Well, you can cut.
edit.
You can cut me out if it sounds weird.
No, I'll just edit so we're all three saying it at the same time.